The last time the Eagles beat Port Adelaide, the opening round of the 2003 season, a cloudless sky above Subiaco. Just a picture going to be enjoyed boundary side by Michael Thompson this afternoon. G'day, Tomo.
Thank you very much, Clinton. Don't ever say that we don't turn on sensational weather here in the west. 28 degrees at the moment. It is going to be hot. The players are going to feel it. Humidity 32%. There's really no wind to speak of. The surface of the ground is in immaculate condition. We've had no rain during the week. So conditions today are absolutely perfect for football. The Eagles said earlier in the week, the hotter, the better for them. But Port say we don't mind the hot weather. They love coming to play in Western Australia. They love coming to play at Subiaco Oval. As you mentioned before, their record's great here, Clinton. I think we're going to see a super game of football.
Look forward to your comments, Michael. Boundary side throughout the afternoon as Matthew Primus wins the toss. Port Adelaide to the right of screen. It's almost like a rock concert here. Sold out for a number of days, so just on 40,000 in. Music blaring. It's a great atmosphere.
And why wouldn't it be? You've got a great stadium, a great footy state. You've got two fantastic teams. One last year's Premier, the other one the Premier-elect, if you like. And you've got so many great players in both sides, Wayne. Their matchups are plenty. There's just going to be football at its best, hopefully, and attacking football to boot.
Matchups all over the ground. Very interesting. Daniel Kerr actually starting on the bench, and also Byron Pickett for Port Adelaide. So two very good players for both sides starting on the bench.
Pretty handy player to come on, Byron Pickett, from impact. He's heart of the footy, as we know. He's heart of the man when it's there to be hit, and he's also a bloke who can kick goals. And I reckon Gavin Wanganeen and Byron Pickett are two wild cards for them. Particularly, we think Wanganeen is going to play forward. He's a tough man to match up on, and we're a punter not playing, of course.
They're the two players that stood up for them in the grand final. Kicking goals, small forwards. They're the go in the AFL at the moment, the small forwards. So I'm sure they'll come on at some stage and kick a couple of goals.
Well, when you've got Jonathan Brown moving into the centre to become a 25 possession plus ruck rover, it just goes to show how easy that position is.
Also goes to show you how easy it is to play on ball, Jerry.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. The needle has begun here in the booth ahead of
We're on the same mind.
this Sunday football match now, waiting for the matchups to begin to unfold as Wanganeen makes his way towards the centre circle. There's the forward line for the Power, laid with Ebert, Thurstons, Treadray, so some height down there.
And already in the middle, speaking of needle, Chris Judd's getting the Kasisi treatment, the shoulder into the shoulder.
And right now it's Kane Corns going to him as well. So
Kane Corns has had his own problems with taggers this year, and he's become the targeted, the hunted.
He's averaging 22 possessions a game, so you hope that he's going to win the ball himself.
And Gavin Wanganeen actually starting in the middle, not forward.
Good news for Ben Cousins. He's walking around and thinking, hey, no one's on me. This is going to be a field day.
I'm still here, guys.
Little bit of byplay. Ben Cousins actually went towards Corns then, acted as if he was going to give him a little bump and bounce back. So it looks like it's going to be a fairly physical game.
Maybe Cousins and Wanganeen playing wide of each other. Stand by for 40 possessions each.
Peter Burgoyne, Michael Braun, two other players who can get the ball underway. And look at it. He's back, folks. Judd straight away to half forward. Nikoski. Great start. Eagles coming up if he's straight. And he is anything but that.
He just didn't quite read the script, but it was a great start. Judd back in the team. First possession, Judd. Delivery superb. And, well, that's the standard today. We're going to have a great match.
And it's Hunter who has taken the job on Treadray to start with as Port. They run their huddle. They split to the outer side. Wanganeen pops it in front of Primus against Cox. An unlikely foot race. The bounce, Kine for Cox. Embley to Cousins. Has time. Long ball. Hanson gave Chad Corns the nudge. Wakelin at the back. Gardner got him. Corns now can go to Walsh in the back pocket. Umpires wide for sound today. Matthew James, Dean Margetts and Stuart Wen. Kane Corns going short, and the mark taken by Dominic Kasisi, re-signed with Port this week for another couple of years. He is a former Perth boy, but the 22-year-old staying with the boys from Alberton as Dew goes to Treadray. Some contact, no whistle. Hunter doubles back, has Fletcher in support. Fletcher going to centre half back. This is Dean Cox.
Playing very much one-on-one football at the moment, Port Adelaide. They're not letting West Coast get their free running game going early, although it is early.
Staker, good ball wide for Hanson. Just the 9 touches and a goal against Collingwood and James Clement last week. Good ball here for Glass, who's gone forward taking lead with him. Going to Nikoski, he's off. Michael Braun a chance, finds an opening, 45 out for the opening goal. Terrific start from the Eagles and Michael Braun.
They went the hard way about it then, Jared. They had to go from one side of the ground to the other. They chipped it back into the middle, found Braun on his own, but it really seems as if Port Adelaide are going to make this very difficult for the West Coast Eagles.
I think Braun has actually got a one-on-one job with Peter Burgoyne. We'll confirm that shortly. But in the middle, you've got Wanganeen running wide of Cousins, Judd and Kasisi, of course, and Stenglein looks to have a responsibility for Josh Franku.
Here we go, guys. Watch the line, Coxie.
Eagles on the board first as Primus has to wait for it. On the second effort for Kingsley. Wrapped up by Jones, Walsh, collared by Sampi. Also looking to bounce back after an off week last week. Cousins in the 28-degree heat. Chasing it wide, kicking it long inside the 50, giving Chick a chance. Couldn't trap it, creative enough. Eagles still dangerous. Lynch out of the pack towards Gardner. Very tight angle. The umpire has come in to set the mark, so he will have to go back.
I reckon if you're an Eagles player, Wayne, you'd be saying, they're talking about us about premiers, but John Worsfold would be saying, well, if you want to be premiers, let's start proving who's up to the standard. Let's who can cope with the pressure that a group that have climbed the mountain will be able to put on you.
It'd be fair to say that last week was a loss that they probably needed because get a little bit overconfident. They've started very well today.
Gardner, 3 last week. 1 today. Eagles get the opening 2.
Very difficult kick to stop that one that goes over the back into space where the forward runs back.
Yep.
You saw Wakeland playing in front. As we know, he's a dour defender. He'll always do the right thing. But when you have use of the footy like that, the one over the back's very hard to stop.
First bloke I saw utilise that to great effect was Mark McClure in the 80s. Then I saw a bloke in the 90s use it to great effect as well, playing for the Kangaroos.
Yeah, I think we know him. Back at home, the venue where they've won their last 14. West Coast starting well. Lade palming it down. Staker charging through. Gives Stenglein half a chance. He has support. Cousins off to a blistering start. Can he kick a goal? 50 out on the run. Long one. Just wide.
You made the call early, Gerard, that Gavin Wanganeen and Cousins look like they're playing on one another, and already Cousins getting a lot of space from the Port Adelaide champion.
He's had 4 kicks in 4.5 minutes as Wakeland marks the kick back into play. Goes for Montgomery. Was ill and didn't train much this week. Laying it off by hand to Kane Corms.
Interesting matchup on Treadray. It's Hunter.
Is Kingsley going to that duo. Treadray just battering it down for Peter Burgoyne. Well, he's going to be left alone here. Chipping for Ebert, but getting in the way is Staker.
Love this kid. I like the promise he shows. He's been dropped once this year, but looks like he's responded well.
Ben Cousins on the wing, all on his own.
Here's Hansen.
Line up.
Well, they've got to shut down Cousins, surely. He's carving them up. His 5th kick. Deep towards the pocket, a wrestle, and Lynch will out-wrestle Bishop if they're left like that.
Well, really, it all starts from the half-forward flank for the Port Adelaide Football Club. Burgoyne gets it, he looks up, sea of West Coast players, it goes across the ground, and it's all West Coast. They're not manning up very well at this early stage, Port Adelaide.
And they're using Staker as a player to play in front of Warren Treadray, particularly at centre bounces, and now they're just cruising one in front, one behind Treadray. So Port have obviously got a loose man in defence as well.
And the view from behind Lynch is a good one for Eagle fans.
What a start.
3 goals in 6 minutes.
Fantastic start for the West Coast Eagles, but if you were Mark Williams, you'd be sending a message very, very quickly to his champion on baller, Gavin Wanganeen. He's playing very loose.
Looks like Kane Corns is actually chasing Fletcher. Not so much at the bounce, but they're matching up. And if we have a look at this magnificent kick, it actually bends from left to right. A little bit of a fade, which was just what they required here. And here's the matchup with a couple of players, one in front, one behind. So Warren Treadray has got a pretty tough job, even if there's an early break.
Right now it is Cassisi against Judd, and Kane Corns on Fletcher. It's Judd. Arm pinned by Cassisi. Good tackle. And rewarded. So that matchup swapping in the opening couple of minutes. Here's Kingsley now. And good pass, good lead. Treadray can go back. Well, he wants to give it off by hand to Kane Corns. Standing start at the 50. And he sprays it. Not sure Treadray should have gone back from about 52, 53 to give it a ride.
Should have at least seen what was up ahead. You give it to a player that was under pressure and had to kick it the same distance as what he would have had to.
Banfield to Glass, play on the call. Defensive goal square. Glass, loose man on half back. Bounces away from Hunter. Cousins running onto it again. Drives it for Hanson. He started well.
Well, it looks like Kingsley's gone on to Cousins. Kingsley started on Fletcher, but they've rotated already through the middle, try and find a matchup.
Dean Cox.
Corns now running with Fletcher.
Long ball towards Gardner. Montgomery from the side. Gardner just fisted down. Walsh retrieving for Bishop. Now, awkward ball to trap here on half-back, and Thurstons has taken over for a throw-in.
Thurstons, as we know, can play deep. Kicked a bag of goals in the grand final, playing close to goal, but right now he's playing effectively in defence, and Staker's going with him the whole way.
Whistle, holding on. They're going to be watching this closely, and Judd's got it.
Well, let's hope this continues for the rest of the century, because it goes in for a week once a year.
Judd bombs it to the hot spot. Hanson. Corns the spoil, and a long one. And a leaping effort from Cochrane. Deserves something. Franco for Cassisi. Took a little too long.
Holding the ball.
And was
I didn't think so.
pinned.
I didn't think so. Had long enough.
And Cassisi says, I kicked it. Stuart Wynn says he had long enough.
There's been a little bit said about the heat today. It is a very, very hot day, and obviously West Coast Eagles train in these sort of conditions. I've just kept an eye on Ben Cousins. We know he's had a fair bit of the ball already, but he is out on his feet. He's very tired. He's used to playing in these conditions and training in these conditions. You can imagine how the power players are feeling.
Wonder how many kilometres he's run already.
Mark Nikoski has kicked just one goal.
You were puffing coming up the stairs, Wayne. You've lost your fitness.
In his AFL career. And from 50, this is a helicopter kick, but it's effective. Just missing to the right-hand side.
I reckon he would have done, how long has he been out there? Best part of
10 minutes.
10 minutes. He'd be doing near on 3-minute Ks, so he'd be up to the 3-odd Ks. He's having a good crack at it, running, just power running up and down the ground.
Kingsley towards Chad Corns. Gets rid of Stenglein. Feeds Peter Burgoyne. Welcome back, Peter. Away on the wing. Chipping deftly to half forward. Off the boot of Ebert, it ends up with Embley. Good ball for Dean Cox. And he's off. Delivering to loose men in midfield. Nikoski. Good signs for the Eagles. They want it. They've come to play early here. Long ball towards Sampi, might not reach him. Oh, he comes out hard again. They are attacking the football with vigour. And here's Gardner. Wonderful movement.
And it's not great signs for Port Adelaide. They're zoning off even through the midfield. You see them sitting back waiting for the long kick. And the West Coast Eagles, they won't do that. They'll pinpoint players. They're a very skillful side. And you see then they've pinpointed it all the way to Michael Gardner, who has a shot at goal.
Right.
Doesn't do it very well.
No, pinpoint not the phrase to use in that sentence describing Gardner's kick.
Steve Monaghetti has just rung through and he says if Cousins is doing 3-minute Ks, can he get in his marathon training camp for the Commonwealth Games coming up?
I didn't want to say anything,
No.
I did think that that was a little too far.
A bit extravagant.
Play on.
Now, Power still under some pressure. Primus working hard to get to the fall. Can't hang on to it. Tackle by Jones. Dew, short, Cochrane. Playing game number 100 today and finding Primus. And now Kingsley can run. This is better for Port. Treadray.
Got him.
Got it. No, knocked away at the last moment by Hunter. Kane Corns, Ebert, just inside the 50. Missing to the left-hand side for Port's opening score.
Now, we'll probably talk about the heat a fair bit today. There's a lot of interchange plays coming on and off. I'd say that Stewie Dew will feel this heat more than most players, and he come off out on his feet. He hasn't really been near the ball, but very, very tired.
Already they've made a change, bringing some more legs onto the ground in Pickett with big Matthew Primus, who started on the back of the square, and that's why the Eagles had an extra man in defence. He's come off for a rest.
Stenglein to Braun, now Cousins with his 7th kick, long towards Hanson on the outer wing. Boundary throw.
Daniel Kerr coming on for his first run. He is going to be tracked by Kane Corns. Fletcher off.
Port Adelaide, 3 wins, a draw and 5 losses, beginning this round 11th on the ladder. Haven't strung back-to-back wins together this season. They beat Essendon last week. This part of a tough road double. They're in Tassie next Sunday playing the Saints. Franco away, caught once, twice, slipped them both. Peter Burgoyne now, penetrating kick and a good one for Treadrake. Carries him though, there's some holding, and the free kicks the Eagles.
Well, it's just not working for them at the moment, the one-man forward line. They've done the Peter Hudson trick and cleared everybody else out for Warren, and he's just not finding the footy at the present time.
Just didn't lead then, Jared. He had the opportunity to lead. It was coming through the midfield without a lot of pressure and decided he wanted it long, and when it come in long, he was in the wrong position.
Check over the head of Gardner for a boundary throw-in as Mark Lacroix, the 18-year-old, makes his AFL debut. Brother Brent playing in that victorious Kangaroos team in Brisbane this week. He was the 37th pick in last year's national draft. A new career begins. We've seen more than 50 players make their AFL debut already in 2005. Gardner knocking it down. Braun unable to get away. Shattuck near the boundary line has dumped over it for a throw-in.
Tackle.
Well, Kingsley and Cousins look like they're now going together. And Kingsley's had a bit of the footy with 5 possessions. Of course, Cousins had plenty of it early, running those 3-minute Ks. He's had 7.
Shattuck with the clearing kick. Here's Cousins again. This time for Sampi. He's a goal sneak. 48 metres out. Just misses to the near side. Crowd was up.
The interchange is running hot. Stuart Dew now back on the ground, so it wasn't a long rest for him. Probably just got a message from the coach.
Chad Corns on half-back for Wakeland. Sure of where to go. Targets Peter Burgoyne.
Ash, thank you there now.
Averaging 23 possessions a game in the 5 matches he's played this season. Kingsley running with Cochrane.
Coming into this match, I thought that the great strength of Port Adelaide would be that they could have the really tall forward line. And it laid down there, Primus down there, Thurston's. And yet they're going with a very mobile forward line, almost trying to block up the defence of the Eagles, or the attack of the Eagles, and get it in quickly.
Here's Wanganeen. Oh, centering ball.
Cheeky hold there, check,
Laid the mark, sold Peter Burgoyne into some trouble.
Good legs.
Did well to get away from Braun. Now Byron charging from midfield to the 50, unloading a bomb, and just misses to the right-hand side.
Just great footwork there from Peter Burgoyne just to dance around. And I saw Josh Franco do a similar thing under pressure earlier, which really was a great positive because his confidence in the knee looks like it's getting to its peak.
I was thinking the same thing, Jared. Very strong through the core, and looks like he's got a lot more confidence now than he did probably 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Embley going to stake up.
Stuart, back a metre. That's it, you've got it, Warren, you're on it.
He's just drifting it to Cox. 16 minutes gone. Port Adelaide, the lowest scoring team in the AFL, entering this round with just 2 behinds. Now Chick's got some space. Goes down the corridor, and it's Lacroix. Could this be one of those first kicks in league football sort of stories?
West Perth boy, bit of a goal sneak. Clinton.
Yeah, that's okay, cuz.
Very versatile, and All-Australian in the under-18 level last year, and here he is, a chance with his first kick in AFL footy. The 18-year-old to become an instant darling of just on 40,000 at Subiaco. The club will not have a new member. Port Adelaide, will they concede a behind? Yes. So 3 goals for and 2 shots at goal out of bounds on the full from the Eagles. They are doing a mountain of attacking.
Now, Joey.
More than 2-1 on the inside 50s as Stuart Dew prepares to bring it back.
Just interesting looking at the makeup of the stats. They've both had about the same amount of ball, and yet Port Adelaide's had 1 handball effectively for every kick, and the Eagles are 44 kicks and 12 handballs.
Kingsley drifting it for Wanganeen. Just unable to generate that free man yet. Now they might. Kingsley to the outer side of the ground, and Kasisi can get it on, and this is White now. Now working hard for him is Walsh towards half forward, and Franco.
And as he looks up the ground, Warren Treadray took a very long time to lead.
He does now, but he's got 2 to beat. And at the back make it 3 as Fletcher arrives for West Coast and clears. And they might have time if they can keep it in. Staker under some pressure does well. Handball missed Fletcher. Judd to mop up. Not a bad sweeper. Hunter. The switch is on to Chick. Over his head. Walsh. About to be under pressure. Pushed aside. Perhaps too easily. What a chase and tackle. Great stuff by Burgoyne. Turnover. Walsh to Ebert.
Hold there, Drew.
And it deserved plenty, that chase from Burgoyne.
As he looks up the ground, Treadray's got a lot of space. He's either side of him right now. He decides not to lead, whereas he had both sides, Jared. He could have led left or right. Decided not to.
And now the Eagles are just dropping players back to prevent him from going wide.
And Ebert drops it off short for Lade, who would, well, the man at the mark will be at 55. Lade will have to kick this 57 or 8. A tough ask. Treadray leads to the pocket. That was turned down. You saw the lead of White.
When a player gets the ball outside 50, as Ebert did then, your eyes light up, you know you've got space either side of you. You've got to go straight away when the numbers aren't back there, and Treadray just didn't want to lead.
Well, Lade's kick, though, is a beauty. That carries the goal line comfortably for his first.
Yeah, he's almost the best shot for goal that this club has got, Brendan Lade. He's on song. He's as long a kick and as accurate as a kick as you'd like, but that is why it came about. A magnificent tackle, an inspirational tackle, and something that Port Adelaide needed.
A great goal by Brendan Lade, but if they're to rely on goals from 60 metres all day, they're going to have a very, very difficult afternoon.
11 goals for the season for Brendan Lade now. Port Adelaide's first, taking all of 19 minutes. Lade in the ruck against Cox. Port might get the centre clearance. They do. Kasisi driving it to half forward. Good use of the body by Staker, getting rid of White. Butler. Down the line. And Kerr, the mark. A little extra attention draws the crowd's ire, but not the umpires, from Byron Pickett. Kerr popping it up towards half forward. Gardner with 2 to beat. Good effort. Still going. Kane Corns the tackle. Cousins. Nikoski.
Good mover.
50 out to the goal square. Port defence under plenty of pressure. Fletcher, he's creative. Kane Corns down in the Shepherd.
Poleaxed.
Walsh, will he concede a behind? No. Going for Lade. Stalking them, Seaby. And finds Eckermann, and they clear that danger zone. And now Port on the counter-attack. Eckermann's kick for Franco makes him work. Good duel with Stenglein. Eckermann the second effort. And that's going nowhere. Oh, and Port Adelaide have been pinged West Coast free.
Chris Judd coming for a arrest along with Dominic Kasisi. Just going back, we saw Kane Corns just get blindsided by Quentin Lynch. He went through him like a Mack truck.
Big man is Quentin.
Oh, that's what they do to taggers.
Let's go.
Braun popping it up. Hanson, Wakelin in front.
Hanson's actually moved deep into the forward line now. Gardner's come out to centre half forward, and Corns won't go to full back. He's picking up Gardner at centre half back.
1-on-1, the only men in their attacking half of the ground. Treadray and Hunter. Who will recover first? Hunter, the boundary line is his friend. Still they go, and the boundary line will win out.
I think that's what he's trying for a little bit too much, Warren Treadray. We know he's a very, very good player. He's been in sensational form, but it just seems that he wants to get that one-on-one, get in behind and take that contested mark, whereas before he could have led and got an easy ball inside 50.
Primus over the shoulder for Dew, caught in the tackle. No chance to get rid of it, a bounce.
When you're using the space behind, he's got 30 metres to run. It looks like he's trying to just use the space only a metre or two behind him. As we take a look at the Mack truck, he just got him with no support. The outside leg was the only thing that was keeping him up, so he went down like the proverbial bag of.
And fair with the ball within 5 metres.
Yep. Spuds.
Braun. Kerr towards Lynch. Bishop knocking it down. Embley, good pick up, good turn of speed, and a nice delivery for Gardner. No one on the mark, and he doesn't want to go. Now, Chad Corns comes in to take the mark.
There's the mark.
One thing Chad Corns will give you is a lot of space. He likes to give the Port Adelaide Footy Club a lot of drive off half-back.
Speaking of drive, Embley drives home a goal. Box Footy Sunday exclusively from Subiaco. Mark Williams on the phone. Some work with Port trailing by 20 points.
Well, they just move the ball so well and they're willing to use one another. You see there, Embley not being picked up, and Port Adelaide, I said at the start of this quarter, that looked as if they were going to play one-on-one footy. Well, that's gone out the window. They're letting West Coast run free.
Embley's goal, career number 100, coming a game after he posted his century in games.
Look it out! Hasn't got it, Josh.
Sampi the free.
Didn't have the ball. He didn't even take possession. Yeah, he didn't take it though. Thanks, Ben. Play on.
Sampi going to Jones. The defensive, I didn't know he didn't have it.
Don't check it.
Not exactly a winnable one. He kicked to centre half forward. Good defence by. Oh boy, ironed out. Stenglein cannoned into him. Peter Burgoyne wants to go on with Embley. That was
Bit of a delayed reaction. I don't think a lot of the players saw it because it was an after.
Eckermann the man, and crunch.
Really, Tyson Stenglein didn't move a lot. He basically just stood his ground, as you see here. He stood his ground. He basically ran straight into him. As he ran into him, he tensed up so that he could obviously deliver the bump. There wasn't too much malice in that.
The end result is very serious for Ben Eckermann, an 18-year-old out of Sturt, just his 4th senior game of footy. And a final look.
Here's another look. See there that Stenglein was actually not moving all that fast. Now look, it has hit him high. It's hit him high. It's hit him actually in the face. But I would say that I don't think Tyson Stenglein has done too much wrong. The ball was within 5 metres. The young fella fumbled, and he's in a little bit of trouble. Let's hope all's well and there's not too much damage done to the young kid.
Jared, do you want to weigh in with that one?
Oh, look, I think Wayne is essentially right. It's one of those circumstances that slow down. You think you can make 100 choices, but Stenglein was immediately going into tackle, and he fumbled the ball, and then the opportunity presented itself to take him out with a bump. Now, I would suspect he had no idea of premeditating a head-high bump. That's where it hit him. That's why he'll probably be looked at. Whether or not the panel decide that it was outside the rules of the game is going to be, once again, a controversial week in footy.
Just for the people at home, when you look at that particular bump and you see that his shoulders hit him high, and it's an automatic thing that when you hit someone with your elbow into your side of your body, when it's a natural reaction as you go through with the bump for your elbow to come up here. You see Stenglein hit him with his shoulder, and then after, it's an automatic follow through for the elbow to come up. So just for those people, he hasn't hit him with an elbow. It was actually with the top of his shoulder.
So a significant pause in play with West Coast leading by 20 points, and
it's one of those classic ones.
It's going to be a tense few minutes here, and the umpires will have to be right on their game, because there was certainly a response from the Port Adelaide players.
It will be, and there was a response, and you would expect there would be a response, and you'd expect that they will play some pretty tough footy for the next 5 minutes and hopefully for the rest of the game. But they will also know that there was just one of those moments. It was the car accident type of situation in football where the circumstances just prevailed, which gave Stenglein the opportunity. One man was relaxed, not knowing he didn't have the footy, so he wasn't prepared for the bump. The other man, Stenglein, saw it. He tensed up and effectively took him out.
Let's hope Ben's all right. Looks like might be just a little bit of concussion. Let's hope that's all it is.
So as he makes his way off, a look at the ground reveals that there is no one behind Adam Kingsley. There in the Eagles forward line in the middle is where tempers are on edge just at the moment. This is the huddle of all huddles. If Kingsley kicks it into the man on the mark, look out. Now Byron Pickett goes to ground, perhaps trying to elicit a free kick. And now we're underway as they split, and it's going to be Bishop on the outer side. The space is on for Ebert and Treadray to lead. Kane Corns will go to Treadray. He's a long way from home. Hunter flies, no mark. Banfield, Fletcher, and now they'll scramble back to their positions because West Coast are away.
Gardner's on the fly.
Hanson should get it on quickly. Oh, he's taking time, and those holes are filling rapidly.
And this is what I think people hate about possession football. You've got a bloke here that should have been rewarded in Gardner. Keep the flow going, keep the spontaneity going, rather than just a cold, calculated, slow movement of the ball forward.
Wasn't too happy, Michael Gardner, and I can understand why. He worked very hard to get to space.
Butler to Judd, kept his feet. Cassisi, good second effort on the tackle, held in a bounce.
We saw earlier in this quarter Peter Burgoyne get out of a few tackles. Chris Judd's exactly the same. They're guys that aren't massive guys, but so strong through that core, Jared.
Primus and Gardner. Wanganeen caught by Kerr in the back.
That's the classic one from Gavin Wanganeen. He drew the free kick and an advantage has been paid.
Coming up to the final minute of the opening term as Montgomery delivers nicely for White.
The best I've ever seen at drawing a kick, Gavin Wanganeen. Not to say they're not there, but he's the best at it.
Kingsley.
Port Adelaide have been absolutely the equal of the Eagles at getting the ball to this part of the ground, but they're just breaking down with this kick. This one looks like it's going to work.
Kane Corns with a circus catch, and now a shot at goal can have Port within 14 points in the shadows of quarter time.
The reason why it worked is because Corns was able to get behind his opponent, and Warren Treadray got it in there quickly and long. If you hold that up, then he's not able to get in behind his opponent, and Fletcher's able to get behind him, therefore it's a chip kick forward. But very good play, Warren Treadray, able to get it over the back.
Having a great year, Kane Corns, by way of numbers, averaging 22 possessions a game, an important one here, and he delivers a goal. The power needs it. Kane Corns delivers.
Well, he's one of the elite midfielders of the competition now. He's was very unlucky not to be All-Australian last year, and he's on track to be putting his hand up again for selection this year. Brilliant grand final, as we all know, premiership player now, and a bloke who's going to have a long career that may end up being inclusive of a captaincy at Port Adelaide.
And what makes Kane Corns a very good player is he's tagging Fletcher, but he's able to run off him and put pressure on him the other way, and while he's doing that, takes Fletcher off the ball.
Raw numbers, he's got 6, Fletcher 4. Back in the centre in the waning seconds, and here's Kane Corns again. Hacks it out of mid-air. Dew tries to shovel it on. Sampy's got it, and that should do us. Well, intriguing opening term. Eagles had 3 goals in the first 6 minutes, but it was relatively even after that.
Yeah, it was just once again, it was just forward structure. I think they will look at that, Wayne, and that's your department. But the Warren Treadray really just needs to take better advantage of some opportunities.
I think Warren Treadray, look, we know he's a gun player, and I probably look at forwards more than others, but I just think he's got to lead a little bit more, and if he leads a little bit more, they might kick a few more goals.
West Coast at quarter time. So that's the story elsewhere. Here at Subiaco, will it be renamed Anzac Field? That's something that's being pondering by the administrators here at out west. They're considering that right now, and an interesting game. 4-4 to 2-2 Eagles way.
We'll have a good look at the Tyson Stenglein, Ben Eckermann bump at half time, but if in fact Tyson does get put up by the match review panel, they shouldn't waste their time, the Eagles, with a QC. They just should go to W. Carey QC, because he's made an impassioned and a very compelling argument while he won't be reported. But more of that at half time.
I wasn't going to get between the two of you there during that volatile debate during the break, as Cox palms it down. Judd unable to get an effective clearance. Cousins tied up. Dew flicking it out. Walsh finds an opening, pops it in front of Ebert, working hard to the outer side. And he's got time here to steady. Primus is short, kicks in his direction, but wide of him. Embley the soccer out wide for a boundary throw-in.
Well, you heard Michael say that the Port
Ben
Adelaide,
Eckermann.
I've forgotten the Port Adelaide coach, Mark Williams say at quarter time that he was quite happy with the club. I honestly thought that in the second half of that first quarter they started to lift their work rate.
Stenglein to Kerr. He started on the bench. Has some legs here. Couple of bounces through the middle.
This is the great strength of the Eagles on display, the running power.
Banfield, perfect. Oh, Lynch spills the goodies. Has time to recover. Is he going to make the seemingly easy look difficult? You bet. But he gets the job done.
Well, walking through the crowd before the game, a few people said that Lynch hasn't had the best of years. He takes a big, strong player to play on him, but for a big, strong player, very good below his knees. And as we've seen, I think we saw him earlier in the year in a Wizard Cup game kick a fantastic goal up there in Darwin. Very capable of kicking good goals below his knees, but should have taken that one, should have snavelled that.
Enjoys the snapshots. 2 goals today, 13 for the season.
We just saw him drop a chest mark. Was Dennis Pagan a mad chest mark person like a Ron Barassi, who was absolutely against taking chest marks? Had to be out in front.
You got that much time, Jared, take it on your chest and make a certainty of it.
How do you know if you got the time?
Well, I think that's instinctive. That's the sixth sense. Some players have got it, other players haven't.
Treadray's got it here and is lining up his first goal of the afternoon.
Byron, just go one for me that way. That's it there now. Mark's right here. Thanks, Byron.
You just get the feeling that if Warren Treadray kicks this, they definitely need it. But if he kicks this, Port Adelaide have got a sniff. Just starting to play better football.
Don't jump over, lads.
Treadray should kick it and fails to do so. 25 goals, 15 his season return.
Fred Henny. Jump right at the back, please, mate. Thank you.
Red Hetty still involved in football, albeit now as the Eagles runner as Nikoski marks in the back pocket.
Stuart Cochrane running with Chris Judd this time.
Switch to the outer side, effective for Staker. Next to go short. Cox spills it, has time. Chick back for Cox, for Cousins. He wants to go, delivers for Hunter. Some class from the skipper setting that up. Judd, space for Gardner to lead to. Wakeman the spoil, Burgoyne under pressure. Walsh hemmed in on the boundary line. Well done, a cool head In a volatile situation, Wanganeen's got Primus and he can have Franco or Montgomery. Might go to Montgomery in the centre corridor. Now leading towards the wing. He does, and Montgomery's got it, and Port can go. Some run about their game now as Cochrane lays the handball for Stewie Dew. No one home. Chips it short on the lead, Eckermann. Ebert rather. It was a good spoil by Chick, and Glass now goes wide. Bounce awkward for Cousins, has time. Treadray closing fast. Good shepherd in the end by Glass. Chick though. Now Cousins popping it out on the full.
It was his only option, Stewie Dew, as he come through the middle of the ground just a minute ago. He looked up and there was a sea of West Coast Eagles on the goal line.
Primus. Fraction too far out. Oh, leading into space short. Cassisi, good lead, rewarded. He marks at 45. Not a renowned goal kicker, just 3 this year, but a chance here.
Jared, you did an article a few weeks ago about the interchange bench and the fact that, you know, we're playing this possession style football. Also has an effect on bringing players on and off on the champion players, which really lessens their effect also. Like you see Cochrane now gone on to Judd. Fresh legs once again.
Cassisi just inside the 50, and the kicker's got the carry, and Port get one back.
Yeah, the ability to be able to rotate players on the midfielders obviously is one way of taking the steam out of those guys. I noticed actually when Ben Cousins went forward, as soon as he went forward, he was on Walsh for a split second, and Walsh just charged to the other end of the ground, effectively not allowing Ben Cousins to rest. So they're getting run around in the middle by fresh players, and then as soon as they try and rest on the field, they get charged up and down the ground. So tough work.
One in, guys, one in. Straight at it.
Cassisi making Chris Judd think now. Cox and Primus contest a perfect bounce. Cox on the way down for Cousins. Tumbles the ball wide. Braun. Fletcher. Kane Corns for Dew was good. Wants to get on the left for Peter Burgoyne. It's not 15. Takes on Judd. That's risky, but Burgoyne is looking good here. Oh, the kick is wide of Lade. Check.
Oh, intercept.
Primus was arriving at him, putting the pressure on, and Port do well there to force a bounce.
Yeah, I think that Cassisi Cochrane swap was actually just a temporary one. Cochrane is running along with Embley, whose reputation is pretty significant now with every other club as to his importance to this Eagles side. A true wingman. There's not too many of them left, but he certainly is one.
And Cassisi is really shadowing Judd. Oh, Primus winning it down. Pickett nearly, but not quite. Curve for Banfield. Now has Glass short, and it's a good kick for him. Glass needed to mark that and did. Brown say kick at the Braun, he does. Defensive side of the outer wing. West Coast by 13 points. Now short ball, Jones. Risky, stolen by Wanganeen. Port off to the races. Ebert. Good marking. Low down in front of Chick.
As he looks up though, there's probably 3 loose West Coast players in the forward 50.
He pops it towards Lade, running back, Staker knocking it down, Treadray coming in late, hooks it from the boundary line, needed a very kind bounce, didn't get it.
He was a bit stiff in the end. It was a pretty good attempt just to get it even close. And another example of his incredible agility.
I wouldn't say West Coast are flooding, but they're definitely getting numbers back in front of Treadray.
I think it's the tall midfielders they've got. It's the Stakers who, in many ways, is running as a tall midfielder, and also Cox just pushing back with Primus and the like hanging around the midfield area.
Stenglein pops it up 2-on-2 on the wing. At the back, Cousins slipped away from his opponent, delivers to half forward perfectly for Hansen. Lead provided by Gardner running hard. Will he get it? No. Lakeland, the disciplined defender, knocking it down. His twin a good game for the Magpies this weekend, and Walsh has got Burgoyne. And he just sort of glides along this turf. The kick letting him down, but Dew mopping up. Burgoyne and Cousins, great duel.
Yeah, the pressure of the Eagles is really top line at this stage, and we've seen a number of handballs laid off by Port Adelaide players to blokes under pressure.
Cox has gone, holding the ball. Might be advantage for Pickett, it will be. Port have got the overlap. Burgoyne goes early for Treadray, and he's going to have a similar shot here from the 50. He had this shot about 5 minutes ago and missed.
And that's what happens. You can flood all you like, but if the ball gets in there quickly after a turnover, Treadray will get it on his chest.
Warren Treadray with 2 behinds this quarter and a chance here to make it a 1-goal game after they spotted West Coast a 20-point start. He's had his sighter, and this one's perfect. Treadray's got his first, Port with 2 in a row.
And all of a sudden, Port Adelaide have made this a real contest. They're winning the ball through the midfield, which they weren't doing at the start of the first quarter, and using the ball a lot better. And you see there, when the ball was actually won, Treadray coming forward to the ball. You can see it in the background on screen now, rather than calling the ball long.
He was starting a good 15 metres up from where he had been as well, giving him the chance to get it on the 50, as opposed to deeper in the back pocket.
Here we go, guys. What's the line?
And a change has been made with Glass going on to Treadray now. Under out to centre-half back on load.
Cox knocking it down for Nikoski to Fletcher. High ball to Gardner and Wakeland. Walsh in support. Hanson won't let him go. The tackle was high.
And in some ways, I think it's just that Port Adelaide have gone back to a regulation structure up forward with two key talls there, rather than having Primus at the back of the square and Lade starting in the ruck. It's worked for them.
It definitely has made a difference in their whole structure.
Pete, come round, thank you.
Port Huddle at centre-half back and will now split for Walsh. They don't split fast enough, and he turns down the leads. And there's a 50-metre penalty. It's against West Coast. Cox.
Back out.
The greater penalty will be 50 to Walsh as opposed to a relay free kick. So Walsh will be advanced to the wing.
He just grabbed Kane Corns by the neck and give him a bit of a scrub up. And the umpire saw it, and it was definitely there. The only thing that I disagree with that is if they're going to pay one of them, they've got to pay them all.
So Walsh now with 32 players in Port's attacking half of the ground. It's congested. He goes short for Cochrane. Treadray at the top of the goal square. Knows that it's no point leading for that kick. He wouldn't have got to it. Well, Montgomery perhaps getting in the way of Primus. Sampi, advantage paid. Staker, Hanson. The rebound can hurt. Long ball for Gardner. Tightish angle for the big man, 45 out.
Gives him another dimension up there, doesn't he, Michael Gardner, when he plays predominantly forward. And we know that he's a little bit injured. He come into this game under a little bit of an injury cloud. They tell me that hasn't trained a lot all week, but adds a lot up there when he's playing forward and been kicking a few goals.
The kick is close, but just missing to the right-hand side.
It's a potent forward structure, though, when you've got Gardner and Lynch. And you've got McDougall to come into this side if he can force his way in. And Hanson got some tools, and they just sit in the goal square. One leads, generally Gardner. The other one comes in behind.
Jared, I made the comment a couple of weeks ago that Ashley Hanson is just about the most important player on this West Coast side. He reminds me of Carl Langdon when they were a strong side. Not the best player in the side, but very important to their structure. If he can stand up at centre-half forward all year and do what he's doing in competing, they'll go a very long way to making the grand final.
And perhaps significantly, he was well held last week. And the only loss for the Eagles this season. This is Toby Thurston's with Port Adelaide within 7 points. And a chance now at midfield to get some run. Cochrane pops it out in front of Walsh. Needs a kind bounce, he'll get it. He's got to step on Braun. He's got the advantage. It's he the one to catch. Cochrane, now Kane Corns. Delivers to half forward, but it doesn't reach Treadray, and Cousins, the leading ball winner on the ground, his 14th touch out wide for Kerr.
It was an interesting decision to kick that ball from Cochrane to Walsh, given that he was always going to be under pressure, rather than look up and go down the corridor.
Nice leap from Chad Corns to mark. Gives to his brother. One will be happy. This is Wanganeen for Chad Corns. Some space, although Hanson's closing. Corns gets a good kick to half forward for Wakeland, for Walsh. Going a little quickly. Had to go after it as he got Cousins covered, yes. High ball to the hot spot. Who's going to go? Montgomery. Well, everyone was looking around wondering who was going to take it, and it's Brett Montgomery who can draw Port Adelaide to within a point.
Well, it's an interesting weekend so far. We've probably seen the finish of Brisbane's genuine chance at the grand final, or the finals even. Most people have written them off after their loss to the Kangaroos, but today we've seen Port Adelaide put in a first half showing that says they're competitive with the side right up there on the top of the ladder.
Important kick, should be a goal. Montgomery kicks it, and Port are within a point.
It's a wonder you don't see more of that with Montgomery. We know he's very strong overhead. Off half back, he often floats across packs and takes very strong marks, and on that occasion able to drift forward from a half back flank and take a mark at the top of the goal square.
A lot of looking around there. Montgomery celebrates with Byron Pickett, and halfway through the second term it's game on. 100th career goal for Brett Montgomery. Game alive. Lade and Seaby. Judd gets it away quickly. Port will get there first. Pickett got by the lunging Sampi. His teammates dash to the outer side. The goal kicker Montgomery has got Shattuck on, and he'll have Thurston's. He elects to go to Chad Corns. He'll go to Thurston's, dashing for it. And he's got a nice mark too, bouncing off Kerr. 55 out at right half forward. Port Adelaide 20 points behind, a minute into this second quarter. On the verge of perhaps taking the lead. Loose checking by the Eagles. Fletcher arrived though to knock it away from Shattuck. And the chance goes begging. Fletcher's kick, however, smothered by Kane Corns. Thurston's to get another go. Hot football right now. Staker goes without it. Treadray brought down. Judd emerges. Delivers short and effectively for Hanson.
And Judd's one player that just hasn't found the footy today. He's only had, that was his 6th possession, so Kasisi doing a pretty good job.
Embley towards half forward. Sampi, always dangerous on the left. Not swinging it back enough to double the lead.
He does a power running, Chris Judd, whether he's tagged or whether he's getting the ball or not. And I just wonder sometimes when you got a set tag like a Kasisi and he's got the athletic ability to go with you, once you just take him to that position across that half forward line and see how he goes when you're trying to outmark Chris Judd at the best part of 185 centimetres.
Bishop's kick in, an element of risk attached to it, and Gardner takes the mark, has a couple of men in the shadows in the pocket, and spots Nikoski.
It's one thing that we haven't seen John Worsfold do a lot of with Judd is send him forward and say, okay, if they're going to tag you, you know, let's see if we can get a couple of goals. By you sitting, it gives him a rest and also allows him to basically break the tag by kicking a few goals.
I reckon it'd be pretty tough to stop leading out of the goal square.
It'd be very tough to stop with that explosive pace of his.
Good shot, he's a great mark, and I reckon we'll see it as we get close to the finals.
Nikoski still awaiting that second goal. A behind and one out of bounds today. He's got it. Eagles by 8 points.
Now there's often a bit of politics involved when you get a couple of players that are sitting side by side. Effectively, one's a senior player, one's a junior player, and they're going to take a mark, and somebody's going to have an easy, relatively easy shot at goal. No, not an easy, a challenging shot at goal. Well, I'm not sure whether they worked it out, whether Andrew Embley just stood aside and allowed that to happen, or whether he actually knew that that kid's a left footer and he was the absolute best person to take it. If he did, well done.
Thank you.
Testing time in the coach's box this afternoon in what has become an arm wrestle. Plenty of moves. Andrew Embley Gardner also on the bench. A spell for the Eagles on a hot one in Perth. 28 degrees if you joined us late. And it's Seaby and Lade to contest. Another good bounce. And this time Lade waits down. Kane Corn slung. Kerr
In his back.
pushed in the back. Josh Franco not all that happy with the call. Staker going wide.
Is that explosive pace you were talking about then, Jared? He went forward and did exactly what you were saying. I think John Worsfold must be tuning in.
Well, I reckon it's just an absolute given that he'll play a lot of footy across that half-forward line, because the taggers just take so much energy out of you. If you're not in the zone and the ball's not falling your way, go forward, kick a couple of goals and throw the challenge back to the other coaches.
Hunter for Kerr. He can run and carry this one. Elects to drop it off short. Good enough. Stenglein still a fraction too far out, you would think.
Right there, lady, right there. Warren, come out, mate. Play on.
Just chips it to the hot spot, hoping for Lynch. He wasn't going to let this one go.
That was a perfect kick by Tyson Stenglein. What he did is Lynch actually didn't lead. He stood basically about 5 metres out from the goal square. He put his hand up and said, just put it to that space. He was in front once the ball was kicked to the space. He pushes off his opponent and has an easy mark. Good lesson for all forwards, and also on ballers kicking to their forwards. Don't have to lead sometimes, just have to put it to their side.
Thanks, Bo.
Lynch now lining up for his third.
Well, it was moving from right to left, and we were right behind it, and it looked like it was going to go through before that big post got in the way.
Who put that post there? 9 points. Bishop. Dew wants it on the wing, just came on the ground. Still standing there. And now the kick comes to him, although dropping short. Butler did well running back into the unknown. Cousins being pursued by Dew. Chip ball well marked by Chad Corns. He's off. Oh, that was risky. Wanganeen now dodging and weaving in the back line. Goes for Dew. And happy to see this one arrive. 5 minutes from half time. 6-7 to 5-4. West Coast looking to get back on the winners list after their first loss of the year last week. Seaby claiming it. Tackled. Well, that's got to be holding the ball there. Some leniency perhaps. Franco for White, for Kingsley, for Pickett. Byron into the centre square. Going for Thurston's on the outer side. He works hard. He can't get there. And Staker has time to mop up and deliver to Nikoski. And he's going to have space on the wing now. The bounce made him wait.
Very dangerous kick by Byron Pickett. That had to hit the target. If it didn't, it was always going to go to the other end of the ground.
Another turnover, this time Port Adelaide assuming it. Wanganeen for Kane Corns. The brothers wax again.
Got Montgomery close to us, and he's on his own.
Okay, now he will run and carry, and Walsh is going to keep on running. Montgomery, though, just trotting. Should pick it up a little bit here.
He's got no one to kick it to, because now Treadray's on the burst.
And Treadray coming towards it.
They had to be a free
Had
kick.
one unpinned, it seemed, by Glass. Kerr for Cousins. Over the top for Butler. And now, end to end we go. Eagles turn to attack. Butler for Nikoski. Bombs it long to a 1-on-2. Sampi. Wanganeen, now Chad Corns.
Well done, Gavin Wanganeen.
And the kick rolls for a throw.
He was out of position, Gavin Wanganeen, but he was able to, he basically did a pirouette, but took his eye off the ball, then back on the ball, and Ashley Sampi had the sit, just didn't get a jump at it.
Dangerous 3.5 minutes coming up. I think the Eagles have got just a few more players with run in their leg in this side, and they just look like they've spent a lot of petrol tickets, Port Adelaide. They've got to hang on and see if they can pinch a goal.
Pickett. Plenty of space at this part of the ground. Fingertipper for Hunter, couldn't hang on. Recovered very well. Delivers smoothly for Banfield. Sense of inevitability that West Coast are going to break through here in this burst. Seaby for Nikoski. Gets by Primus comfortably. Well, he backs himself, the young man from 50. Gets it right, and why not? He's got two in a row.
spoke about the heat before the game, and it just seems Port Adelaide putting up a dour effort. They've got right back into this, but it just seems the last 5 minutes been a little bit flat. Yep. West Coast just got a little bit more run in the legs.
Yeah, they look like they're just in a spell here, the West Coast, where Port Adelaide have really worked hard this quarter to get back into it, and they've just got to hold on and make sure that they don't give up all their good work.
Koski with 1 goal in his life before today has kicked 2 in this second term. Eagles with 9 more inside 50s. The possession count, though, still just about even. Important final 3 minutes either way. A goal would be crucial.
Got to hang on here, Port Adelaide. Got to get some players back and just hold on until half-time.
Last 7 inside 50s. Make it 8. And Braun's kick, perfect for Lynch.
These are the ones big Lynchy kicks. Doesn't like kicking the easy ones. Likes kicking the ones from the boundary. Drops easy marks and snaps them around his shoulders.
What's he aiming at here, Wayne? Aside from being deep in prayer.
Believe it or not, as a right footer, we saw before he had a lot of right to left when it hit the post before, so he's got to aim it at the right post, and hopefully swings a little bit.
Swing too much. 2 goals, 2 for Quentin Lynch. 7-8 for the Eagles, 5-4 the Power.
They pushed Treadray up the ground here, the Power, and they've got Thurston's playing deep now.
Stuart Dew with the kick back into play. That's a short pass for him.
Play on. Gee, it's a hard one to read this, that play on from the umpires.
Walsh to Kane Corns, turnover, Sampi. Pops it up. McGrath's going to fly. Lynch waiting down. Still going, the big man. Was he caught high? Yes.
Just had a look about it a couple of minutes ago that the Eagles were getting on top and were going to have the run and had the energy just in this final few minutes. They can get away to a 20-point lead or 22-point lead at half-time, but it probably doesn't do justice to Port Adelaide's quarter.
No, it doesn't. They've fought their way back into this game, and like we said, it just seemed to have dropped off. I think West Coast got a little bit more run at the moment.
Lynch has got 3 goals.
And you have to like Quentin Lynch, the way he drops a mark. If he does drop a mark, he fights for the ball on the ground. He draws free kicks, and that's the 3rd shot he's had a goal this quarter. He's missed the first 2, but he's able to put that one through.
It's big body too. He clears a path. He gets down and gets dirty. And that time he drew the free kick.
Port trailing by 22 points with 1:16 remaining in the first half. The Eagles with the last 3 goals.
It's a great bounce from the umpire.
Judd, explosive. To the top of the square. Not quite Lynch, but Kerr will mop up. In 9 minutes for the home team, and they've busted this one right open.
And that's classic football. Tap, Chris Judd, long to the goal square, Lynch a contest, Kerr front and square goal. And that's how the West Coast Eagles want to play their footy. That was superb football. And Daniel Kerr, there's a lesson to get front and square to the pack. Beautiful goal.
How the West was won. 28 points the lead. It has been a simply disastrous time-on period of the second quarter for the visitors. Close to within 1 point, had a chance to take the lead. Will go to half-time. Well, at this stage, close to 5 goals down. And so very hard to come from behind by that much at this ground.
And I reckon there was a good lesson for all midfielders. Chris Judd wasn't getting a lot of the footy. He went forward, had a rest, re-established it, rebooted the computer, if you like. most of all, he gave his legs a chance to re-energise, went in there and just gave us the biggest power effort of all time, charged away, and he's back in the game.
Franco tumbles one towards half forward. Port have struggled here this afternoon. And again, it's predominantly eagle jumper there. Embley for Braun. Hunter for Fletcher. That was good. Still time. Fletcher delivers inside the 50. Over the head of Jones. He recovers well. Surely not another one. Oh, they're on fire. This is why they are number one. 5 unanswered goals in an 11-minute burst. And the Eagles are suddenly double Port Adelaide score.
And I think what we're seeing here, Clinton, is the difference between Port Adelaide this year and Port Adelaide of last year. It's that second division midfield that just is not there, and why sides with the full quality or full quotient that the West Coast have got, they're able to just sustain it for that little bit longer in each quarter.
15 seconds from half-time. It's 10-8 to 5-4.
Same again, guys. Straight at it.
Mark Williams and the power coaching staff stunned by this onslaught from the top of the ladder Eagles. Judd will be tied up in what will be the final act of the second stanza, and more than 40,000 here at Subiaco this afternoon will stand and cheer the home team, because at half-time West Coast are well in control. Big problems for the visitors. 34 points the margin.
Yeah, and I think the last 5 minutes really just have emphasised the loss of Sean Burgoyne, Josh Carr, Roger James, Nick Stevens earlier 2 years ago, that they just haven't got the same quality to throw into the midfield at the back end of each half.
That's right, Jared. Port Adelaide will go in, they'll sit down, they'll try and re-energise their midfield, because really they put up a pretty good fight until probably the last 7 or 8 minutes of that quarter. We thought Port Adelaide could run away with it, but West Coast, they're a power unit.
A lot to talk about. Stay with us. Eagles by 34 points.